It's time for another edition of the DDT Show, covering everything you need to know in the world of sports. Here are your hosts, David Coyer, Dane McElwee, and Trevor Davis.
You think you know me?
Welcome in on this beautiful Tuesday morning. It is 9 o'clock. I'm up, and boys are not up. Trevor, you are tired. David's got his coffee. We are ready to go, boys. How are we feeling today?
What do you mean I'm not up? This is when I normally wake up.
You still sound a little raspy. I'm just saying.
I sound a little raspy. I haven't warmed up my voice. Sorry, I'm not perfectly ready for the podcast voice-wise. I didn't do my morning calisthenics. I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
I'm sorry. We're ready. We're ready to go. We're talking sports. I'm ready. I'm excited. It's a good weekend of sports. We'll start off with winners, losers, just like we normally do on our Tuesday. I will let Trevor start off with his loser because who doesn't love talking about losers first? Because there are plenty of them. Trust us. We are losers too. Let's talk about our losers.
Well, mine is Zach Wilson for obvious reasons. He decided he was going to suck this week. Threw 4 picks. 3 of them were really just kind of awful. But this comes after like a week where he had like a semi-decent game. But I don't know. Bill Belichick and those rookie quarterbacks, man, he just knows how to get to them. But he looked really, really bad against the Patriots.
So, Trevor, can I ask you a question?
I suppose.
With the way that Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence have been playing, do you think Mac Jones has solidified himself as the best rookie quarterback?
No, we're 2 games into the season. I don't think Trevor Lawrence played that bad against the Browns. Or not the Browns. Oh my God, who'd they play?
Jaguars played.
The Jaguars. Who did the Jaguars? I watched the game. Who did they play?
The Broncos.
The Broncos, other orange team. I didn't think he played that bad against the Broncos. And also, we're 2 weeks into the season. And you have to realize Trevor Lawrence has Urban Meyer and Mac Jones has Bill Belichick. So there is that.
I mean, yeah, Bill's a decent coach, you could say. Some would say.
Okay.
I don't know. Some would say that his previous quarterback may have made him, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, actually, we'll be talking about him very soon. Just going to preview my winner. David, who's your loser?
My loser is the San Diego Padres, and it stems off of what happened this weekend, but it also stems on a much larger problem for the San Diego baseball team. This weekend, they got swept by the Cardinals. 8-2 on Friday, 3-2 on Saturday, 8-7 on Sunday. And the Padres are falling, and they're falling quick. I mean, there have been plenty of times throughout this season where the Padres have kind of had their name up there as the potential winner of the NL West. And then it kind of fell to, okay, they're probably going to be one of the 2 wild card teams because obviously there was a pretty good chance that 3 teams were going to make the playoffs out of the NL West. That is not necessarily the case anymore. In their past 10 games, the Padres are 2-8, which means they are falling and falling quickly out of the NL wild card race. Right now, they are currently 4 games behind the St. Louis Cardinals for that second wild card spot. The Dodgers, on the other hand, have a 15.5 game lead, and they will be the number 1 wild card seed. I don't know if that's what we call it or what. The Cardinals currently are on a 9-game winning streak and are in that number 2 spot with a 3-game lead over the Reds. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Padres. In the month of September, the Padres are 5-16, guys. 5-16.
Rough.
They are currently 3 games above 500, which is that there have been plenty of points throughout the season where they have been many more games over 500. And their expected win-loss is 79 and 70 based on their run production, but they're 76 and 73. But that's also not even just like all what it is. It's like, okay, whatever. You have all that. But did you guys see that video this weekend with Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr.? Like, for those of you who haven't seen it, I recommend going and watching it, or go. John Boy Media has a really good video kind of breaking it down. Basically, Fernando Tatis Jr. strikes out looking. Then the Padres get a couple hits, and then the inning ends. There is a guy standing next to the dugout who was not even that. I think it actually might have just been like the actual camera people. Anyway, there was a video taken of Manny Machado absolutely berating Fernando Tatis Jr., just yelling at him. It's just like, this is not about you. This is not just about you. But then, like, he was yelling at him like, you're the best baseball player in the world right now. Everyone here knows it. All the fans here in St. Louis know it. You're the best baseball player. And I think it's just, so from interpretation, what I think everybody's breaking it down as is Fernando Tatis Jr. is kind of just getting in his own head that, oh, woe is me. I'm struggling right now. I'm thinking about me and not the benefit, or not the team as a whole. And I think that's probably part of what's causing these Padres to implode is you don't have everybody focused on that team aspect of everything. And it's showing in this month of September because the Padres just can't win. 2 of their 5 wins came in the past week, and it was against the Giants, who are the best team in the National League right now. So they split a series with them, which is like, okay, that looks like their, luck is turning around. It wasn't. They got swept this weekend. They now have another 3-game home series against the Giants starting today. By the way, today is the 21st night of September. You're welcome. Shout out to Earth, Wind, and Fire. But yeah, so Padres are my loser for obvious reasons. It is the 21st night of September, and they only have 5 wins. And that is a problem.
So do you think if they'd move Tatis back to shortstop, do you think that would fix their problems?
I don't think that's what the problem is. Like, I don't think Tatis is just the sole problem. I don't think the Padres really have as good of pitching as they. I mean, I remember kind of looking into a game last week. I think it was probably one of the games against the Giants, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was that Friday game against the Cardinals. Yu Darvish pitched, and he gave up like 4 runs in the first inning, something like that. Like it's just that God squad of a pitching rotation that the Padres were supposed to have really hasn't been doing anything. And I mean, what did I say their run differential was? 20, or it's plus 46. So it's like their offense is producing runs, but compared to plus 249 and plus 181 of the other 2 NL West teams, yeah, that's just not, it's not going to get it done. And yeah, I don't think moving Tatis to a different defensive position is what the problem is.
I was just curious what you think. Those are both great losers. We'll move on to my loser. I know I definitely had him as my loser last year at the radio show.
That's what I was going to ask you. This
guy's a loser. Like
I was going to ask you this because I could have swore
sorry,
you had him.
You cut out. We're having.
Oh, am
I?
I
definitely had him last year because he was supposed to be a prominent quarterback. He was hyped up coming in, and he's not doing well. We back. All right. So my loser is Bo Nix. I have expressed my feelings about him to Trevor many times. He knows that I think he's overrated. So Bo Nix, why is he my loser? Well, Saturday they lost to a good Penn State team, but the thing is, he's 4-9 versus ranked teams in the SEC. He started off his career with a win over number 11 ranked Oregon, who was good at the time with Justin Herbert. After that, fell down. Has not won a game against a top 10 team in his 3 years in the SEC, which is not something that you want. On Saturday, he went 13 of 25 with 185 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He's just overrated. He came in, had a bunch of hype around him. People thought he's going to be the Lord and Savior, take him back, be the next Cam Newton. Just hasn't done it. He's a loser. He's a loser.
He was your loser. He was your loser like at least twice last year.
No, only once. I know only once. I do know only.
It was only once.
Yes.
But I do remember because we did have a nice long conversation about Bo Nix.
I think Dane has like a personal vendetta against Bo Nix, and I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna get to the bottom of it.
I want to see a different team than Alabama and Georgia be good in the SEC. Like, I'd be okay if Auburn was good. Like, if they were like top 10, I would be happy. But Bo Nix just isn't that guy. He's not that guy. You're not that guy,
pal.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy, pal.
I want
to get Dane and Bo Nix in the same room.
I think we
probably become best friends.
Can we?
We probably
I think you
can
hate
someone reach out to Auburn's SID and just be like, "Hey, we have this podcast. Our host has a vendetta against Bo Nix. We want to get him on the podcast. Can we have Bo Nix on our podcast?"
I just don't
Worst
understand.
they can say is no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. If he wins a big game, then he could be my. He'll probably beat Alabama. If he beats Alabama, he can be my winner. I'll get a Bo Nix jersey. If he beats Alabama this year, I'll get a Bo Nix jersey.
If he makes the NFL, will you get a Bo Nix jersey? Please.
Maybe. I can just be like, this guy was my loser like twice.
What if I got you a Bo Nix jersey?
Oh, for sure. I'd definitely wear it.
I think we're reading into this too much.
Yeah, we probably are, but I don't know. Bo Nix, win a big game, please, my guy. So all I'm hoping for.
Bo Nix listening to the podcast.
Yeah, he is. I personally messaged him. All right, we're getting stuck on Bo Nix a little too much. So that was our losers. Trevor with Zach Wilson, David with the Padres, me with Bo Nix, as you just heard. Now, as David, I know you love saying there are winners and there are losers in life. You go on about that whole spout. I'm not going to do that. So we'll just transition in. David, I want to start you off. Who's your winner over the weekend?
I do that before we do the whole segment because who are we if not to put these people on display?
Well, you told me I was hosting about 5 minutes before, and I was not prepared. I would have wrote out a script last night.
I'm just trying to get you guys, instead of me just dominating the conversation.
Hey, we'll do it. We'll do it. It's working. It's working.
So, gentlemen, when I say the name Eric Berria, do you guys know who that is?
No.
Eastern Washington quarterback.
Look at that. Dane McElwee. Paying
guy.
attention.
Yes, sir.
So this weekend, and this isn't even just for like people who know us or follow Western Illinois athletics, because it has gotten national coverage because it was a big deal. Eastern Washington and Western Illinois played each other here in Macomb at the historic Hansen Field, the legendary Hansen Field. The Eastern Washington Eagles beat the Leathernecks 62-56, which, if I'm being completely honest, was a surprise to me. 56 points by the Leathernecks was a complete surprise, especially since Eastern Washington was ranked 7th in the nation. And I mean, so that's, 100% props. Connor Sampson, honorary winner this weekend, by the way. Connor Sampson, Leatherneck quarterback, Missouri Valley Football Conference Player of the Week. I don't have his stats because I'm just doing this right now. But if it does help, 1,016 combined passing yards between the Eagles and the Leathernecks. And Eric Berria had 542 of those, which means that Connor Sampson had over 400 passing yards, which is
25, 4 touchdowns and a pick for Connor.
Exactly. So Connor Sampson had a great, but Eric Berria, 31 for 45, 20 rushing yards, 542 passing yards, 6 touchdowns.
Oh, I think I just
in the
died.
first half.
Oh,
What?
my internet just died there for a hot second. But
No,
we're
yeah,
it's
back.
we'll have
mine.
some-
Mine
Cool.
just said my internet connection is unstable, and you gotta love this.
Yeah, we're
you
having
have to
technical
love this.
difficulty. It'll happen. It's Zoom.
This is what happens when you have Zoom. I'm gonna try and turn my hotspot on. Actually, I'll try and finish talking first. 487 yards in the first half for Eric Barriere. Barriere. There we go. Got it.
There we go.
6 touchdowns, but 487 yards in the first half, new FCS passing record for a single half. And he did that here. It's the most points it's the most points scored against a Division I football team for the Eagles. It's the second most points scored by the Eagles in school history. He was looking fantastic. He was carving up the Leatherneck defense this weekend. And it's not often, it's not often that we really get to highlight FCS, or that we choose to highlight FCS players on this program. And I just wanted to, because not only did we get to witness it, you guys were watching it from the production truck, obviously on the ESPN broadcast for Leatherneck Broadcasting. But I was up in the press box working stats and getting to write down all of these passes that he was having. And it was he was on fire. I mean, for those of you who didn't get to watch the game, it was as Did I freeze?
Yeah, you just cut out completely. You
Oh,
gotta
God.
love Zoom. Gotta love Zoom.
Okay, I'm going to take a 5-second break and try and connect to my phone's hotspot.
No, great winner, David. Eric Barriere just torched the Western defense as we were all there. Trevor, do you have anything to say about him?
He just looked really good. I feel like we've said all that needs to be said.
Just listen to the passing yards, touchdowns, all the accolades that he got from over the weekend. He just torched the Leatherneck defense. Trevor, who is your winner?
So my winner is Matt Corral, the quarterback from Ole Miss, because he is now the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. And he's more than deserving. Through 3 games, he's got almost 1,000 yards passing. He's got 9 touchdowns, got another 5 rushing touchdowns. Dude's just tearing it up this season. And I feel like it came almost out of nowhere that he just decided, you know what, I'm going to be really good at football.
Yeah, it's a good winner. I know him because I bet money against him in the Louisville game. Not a smart bet,
No.
Don't listen to Will Thomas, everybody. Shout out to Will Thomas. Listen up to Waking with Will. If you give us a follow, give Waking Up with Will a follow also. Yeah, Matt Corral. He's just been tearing defenses apart, tearing Louisville apart. Who did they play this last weekend?
I believe it was Tulane.
Yeah, because I saw he had like 300 passing yards. Didn't he also have like over 60 rushing yards, something like that? He had crazy amount
had
of
himself
touchdowns.
a game. He had himself a game.
Can you look up the stats for me?
Yep, I've got it.
Kind of curious to see the exact
Loading.
stats.
He had 335 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, and then 68 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns.
That's a decent weekend.
It's all right.
That's an okay weekend. I think I can do that on Madden 21 with the sliders down. But that's besides the point. Great winners. So as you guys just said, your winners, I've noticed something. All 3 of us pick quarterbacks. Look at us. Wow.
Good weekend for quarterbacks.
Besides Bo Nix. So David, good winner with Barriere. Trevor with Matt Corral. My winner is he's won a lot in his life.
I saw the name. I didn't actually fully recognize who that was. So I'm excited to know more about him and what he did this weekend?
Tom Brady. As most of you know who he is, Tom Brady, best quarterback of all time. Not most talented. Not going to say that, but has the accolades. Best quarterback of all time. So Buccaneers are 2-0. Just obliterated the Falcons over the weekend. He had 5 touchdowns. Okay. I mean, not bad for someone who's 45. Tampa Bay is on a franchise record, 10 straight wins. The guy just is a winner. He's first in the NFL in touchdown passes. This guy's just proven that age does not catch up with him. You both know Tom Brady. You got to experience him in the NFC Championship game last year. You guys know who he is. Do you have anything to say about how he is playing this year? How long do you think he can play until?
Oh, God.
I think honestly, if the Buccaneers win a Super Bowl championship this year, I don't see why he wouldn't retire.
Tom Brady, and he'll never retire.
Which that is like that was the own counterpoint playing in my head, but I feel like winning back-to-back Super Bowls with a franchise when you're 43, I feel like that's a great way to go out, and it's just kind of a nice way to ride off into the sunset instead of going an extra 2 or 3 years and getting obliterated in your final game and then retiring in disgrace. Peyton Manning did it right. Super Bowl 50. No one thought he could really do it. He was going up against the favorite Carolina Panthers. His defense carried him to a Super Bowl. He knew he was done, and he retired afterwards. It was literally like the perfect way to go out. I think if Tom Brady wins back-to-back Super Bowls with the Buccaneers, he cements himself as the greatest quarterback and potentially greatest football player of all time and rides off into the sunset.
Now, see, the difference is, though, is like you said, Peyton's defense carried him to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's defense is not carrying him to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is still playing at an elite level.
No, I totally get that. That's why it's just like it's probably not going to happen if he wins the Super Bowl this year. He's probably going to come back. It's just like, I can do 3 in a row, and he could probably do it.
If he does get that back-to-back, wouldn't you think he want to aim for 10? Because he's already at 7. He'd only need 2 more. And Tom Brady with Super Bowls.
Only need 2 more.
Dude, Tom Brady with Super Bowl is like Bill Russell with NBA championships. It's what it is. Why not go for it? Tom Brady has proven that age is not catching up with him. He's still playing at an elite level.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think we're ever gonna know. I think Tom Brady will try and I don't even know. You can't guess because he literally has not aged. And it's not like he looks like he's old. Like Peyton, you could kind of see the wrinkles form, and he looked like he was his performance, he was struggling a little bit out there. Rodgers looks like he's 54 years old and he's got a man bun. Like he's in a midlife crisis right now. He's still playing. Like last night, he proved he can still play out of his mind when he wants to. But Tom Brady, it's just like, I have the fountain of youth. It's that thing that's in my backyard. I continue to drink from this, and I will never die and never quit playing football.
So as both of you know, I'm not a Packers fan. I'm a Bears fan. But I love this Aaron Rodgers. With the man bun, him playing the guitar on the State Farm commercial, I absolutely love it. This is great. It's pure comedy. I'm a big fan of it. I hope it keeps going forward.
See, I'm not a big man bun guy, but I feel like Aaron pulls it off really well. Like I feel like he's one of the few guys that can do it.
He just over the offseason, he aged like 15 years. He just got old.
It's what Hawaii does to you. It's just like, man, I could retire and come here. And then his mind was thinking, this would be a nice place to come when we retire. And his body was just like, do it. And it started catching up and making it.
All right. We got a little off topic. So those are our winners and losers. We got to express our feelings. Mine about Bo Nix, David about the Padres, Trevor just kind of there. Didn't say much. So next we'll go into our segments. David, I'm gonna save yours for last because I love
Yeah.
yours.
That's what
absolutely love
segment
that
3 meant. I wanted to
So-
try and save that one for last.
I'm gonna start, Trevor. We're gonna start off with you.
Sick.
So, Trevor,
What
All
you got
take it
right.
away.
So we already talked about one wild card race, that being the NL wild card race. So why not talk about the other wild card race, the AL wild card race, which I feel is a lot more entertaining because the Dodgers or the Giants, whoever ends up losing the West, will have wild card number 1. That's not as fun. But there are both 2 wild card spots up for grab in the AL. There are realistically 3 teams that have a shot at winning it, and they're all in the AL East, which I feel like makes it even more interesting because they're all playing each other and having a fun time and all that stuff. So the Red Sox currently hold the top wild card spot, followed by the Blue Jays, and then the Blue Jays and the Yankees are either tied or the Yankees are I believe the Yankees are a half game back.
Yankees
So-
are half game back.
Yeah, that's right. I checked last night. Don't know why I didn't remember that, but I feel like this is a very, very interesting wild card race. I don't know. What are you guys thinking about it?
On it, so you say, I mean, and I don't disagree with you that there are 3 teams that have a realistic chance of winning it, but don't discredit the A's or the Mariners because they are close. The A's are literally just a game and a half behind of the Blue Jays. And I think they're starting to kind of get lukewarm at the right time. 5-game winning streak, currently 7-3 in their last 10. Like they're playing in Seattle right now. So really like this is a key series for both of those teams because the Mariners, while they haven't really been looking all too good this season, like they haven't looked like a playoff team this season, have the Mariners. They're 3.5 games out of a wild card spot, which in these dog days could realistically happen. You could have, 2 or 3 teams in front of you start to kind of suck and you sneakily just kind of get that second wild card spot. Do I think the Mariners are going to have a wild card spot? No, I do not. But they're in there. But I think the A's honestly have a chance. I think the A's have in the past few years have proved to be that team that while they're not absolutely
It goes to the wild
outstanding,
card game and then loses, and everybody's like, "Wow, look at these guys! They're good."
yeah,
Every
I mean,
single year.
yeah, kind of like they're not outstanding, but like they kind of just they consistently somehow sneak into the playoffs every year. And with how inconsistent the Yankees have been this year, I just don't think when it comes down to like the final week of the season, which is soon upon us, I think they'll just hit one of those cold patches and blow it. Which that is the number one thing I want to see is the Yankees blow it, not make the playoffs, and have the entire state of New York continue to panic as they have for basically the entire season, and then have to hear about it up until next season because the Yankees didn't make the playoffs. I think the Red Sox are safe. And Trevor, I know that's something that you love to hear. I think the Red Sox are safe. I think it's really going to come down to the Blue Jays or the A's, honestly. Whichever one can kind of stay lukewarm at the time. Because I don't think any of these teams are really hot right now. Like, I think they're all just kind of.
Blue Jays are
Sorry, go
7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, and I said the A's were lukewarm, and they were 7-3 in their last 10 with a
6-4.
5-game winning. 6-4. They did lose last night.
6-4, and then they lost last night.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. So sorry, I didn't have my page refreshed. I was looking this stuff up last night. Okay. So 6-4. Anyway, like, and I said the A's were lukewarm. It's like 7-3 is good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but I think it just needs to be a tad bit more of consistency to continue. I mean, again, they only have a half game over the Yankees. I think it's going to come down to, it's going to be one of those wild card races that comes down to the last 2 days of the season where you might be on that last day and it's just like the Blue Jays win, and then they put on the giant video board the A's game or the Yankees game. Like, okay, are they going to lose? Are we going to get this? And it's going to be exciting. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, David. Don't leave out Oakland and Seattle. But I personally think that it's going to stay the way it is. I think Boston and Toronto will get the final wild card spots with just the way that Toronto is mashing the ball right now. It's hot. Like, I love seeing it. Like, Marcus Semien has 40 home runs. Never would have guessed he had that power. And then Vlad Guerrero Jr., obviously, he is a candidate for the triple. Like, he could get the Triple Crown. Who knows? But, and with the emergence of Robbie Ray, the Blue Jays are just tough right now. I mean, the run differential is plus 175. That's tough. That's better than the Red Sox right now, which is only plus 74.
That's better than the Rays, which is plus. Actually, no, never mind. Again, didn't refresh. Sorry. Go on. Sorry, Dan. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. I really don't. I don't have much because I think the Yankees, the way that they're playing right now, they're just not playing well. I don't think they're gonna sneak their way in like they usually do in that final wild card spot. I think we're gonna stay with Boston and Toronto, which I'm all for. Trevor, I know you're all for because you're a Red Sox fan. Yeah. Trevor's a Red Sox fan, guys. Just in case you didn't know.
If we haven't brought it up before, guys, Trevor likes the Red Sox and the Packers. If we haven't said it before.
Yeah. And he's a Blues fan. So I'm just excited to see the AL playoffs as the AL East. You know, that's just how the playoffs will go. It's just basically the AL East. So that's very exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think something. I kind of agree with you, Dane. I think it's going to stay this way because the Red Sox have a fairly easy schedule. The rest of the way, they just got done sweeping the Orioles. Who do they have next? They have the
Mets.
I don't remember exactly. The Mets. Yes, the Mets. 2-game series with the Mets. And then they've got the Nats and then the Yankees, or not the Yankees. They do have the Yankees at some point, but they still have to play the Nationals and the Orioles before the season's over. So I feel like I like their strength of schedule being not very good in these last few weeks. I like them. And then obviously, like you said, the Blue Jays just continue to send baseballs into the atmosphere. So I think that's really going to help. And obviously Robbie Ray is apparently just like the greatest pitcher ever. So
yeah. So I kind of have a question that steers a little bit away from the actual wild card race. Do you guys think that which league do you guys think is looking better as we kind of near the playoffs? Like, in terms of, there's been previous years where it's just like, okay, the American League is winning the World Series this year. Like when the Red Sox won in 2018, it's really which National League team is being led to slaughter against the Red Sox in 2018. There was just been some of those years. Last year, it was almost clear cut that the Dodgers were going to win, but it wasn't. There were still, the Rays were looking really good. But this year, I mean, personally for me, the National League minus the East, if we just forget about whatever team is playing in the National League East, the National League to me looks just a lot better this year. And I don't think there's really an American League team that can compete with, if the Dodgers, win the wild card and somehow make a run it'll probably be the Dodgers Giants in the first round series after the wild card game. Even the Brewers, I mean, unbiased, the Brewers look fantastic. Do you guys think there's a team in the American League that can beat one of these top 3 National League teams?
I don't know. I feel like this is one of the more wide open years that we've seen. I mean, obviously the Dodgers are always going to be, I feel like, at least semi-favorites in the playoffs just because their team's way too good to not be favorites. But I mean, there's still good teams everywhere. Like the Giants are in their own division. They could end up playing them. The Rays are a good baseball team. In Houston, when they get into the playoffs, they just like Bregman and Altuve just become the single greatest baseball players ever live. So, I mean, I think, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it's wide open. I've said a lot of words
So,
just to say.
no,
it's
I mean
wide open.
that answers my question, because I said, is there a clear cut favorite league or anything like that? So you said it's wide open, which those years are more exciting, where it's not like 2018. It was exciting for me and Dane because the Brewers were potentially going to make their second World Series in franchise history, first since 1982. But it was also just kind of like, okay, we're really going to the World Series to lose to the Red Sox. Like, obviously you have that optimism, but then you have the realism. So years like this, where it's just like, okay, it's wide open. Like, there are like everyone has beaten everyone this year. And so yeah, I like your take, Trevor, where it's a wide open year. Dane, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, I think it's wide open, but I'm still gonna say that I think the National League is better. Because when you have a wild card team who's won, they have a chance to win 100 games. Like, that's nuts. In the way that
Their
Max
expected
Scherzer's,
win-loss is 101.49.
yeah, like you have a wild card team who has over 100 wins. Yeah, the Red Sox could have 93, 95. They could have that many, but I just think that the way that like the Dodgers and the Giants are competing right now, those two are obviously the big dogs. I mean, they're both going to have 100 wins. The Giants and the Dodgers are the two best teams in baseball. Yeah, the Rays are good, but can they close out without Blake Snell too? I don't know if they can do it. And besides the Rays, I mean, yeah, you said the Astros. After those two teams, I really don't see anybody else competing as much. I don't think the Red Sox will make a run. Sorry, Trevor. I just don't think they have the pitching for it. I really don't. I don't see Toronto. I think they're too young. I say the National League too because they're more experienced. They have older players who have been there before. That's why I think the National League is better.
Awesome. Well, that
okay.
Trevor, heck of a segment. That was actually fun to talk about. I was a little nervous about that one because I wasn't sure how much I was like gonna have to say, but no, that was actually a lot of fun. I mean, and to quote you, Dane, I love hypotheticals.
So next Tuesday, can we discuss like the NBA GOAT conversation for like an hour and a half? Like, you guys want to get into that?
No,
Actually, no.
That's
Do
all
you
I
want to
have
know?
say.
So I asked Trevor this last night because I was looking for a segment because I didn't know what to do. I was gonna ask you guys, who is the most overrated college football player you can think of like for your time watching college football? Can you do it? Like, I mean, you don't have to think of it right now, but like it's tough, isn't it?
Overrated, like
somebody just Bo Nix. So I'll just say that.
So like they're like people hype them up a little bit and still talk about them, but really they're not that good in college, or they were really good in college.
Yeah.
They were hyped up and they sucked in the
not
NFL.
that good. Not that good in college.
Okay. Not that good.
I mean, that's it's a tough one. I'll get back to you, or you get back
Alex
to me on that
Hornibrook.
one. Hey, that was quick. All right, so now we'll push to my segment. As I discussed last week, I love college football. We'll continue to talk about it a lot in this show. So I'm going to ask you guys, with Penn State playing the way that they are, beating a ranked Wisconsin team and a ranked Auburn team, and then Iowa beating Iowa State and just looking fantastic right now. Do you think that those two teams have dethroned Ohio State in the Big Ten? Do you think Ohio State's still the best team?
I mean, yeah, just because, I mean, Ohio State has consistently proven that they are always the best team in the Big Ten. And I feel like one of these teams has to beat them before we can really say, like, this team is better than Ohio State, just because, again, like Ohio State is always the top of the Big Ten. They're always the one that the Big Ten is sending to the playoff. And I mean, Iowa's been good, Penn State's been good, but they've never quite reached the level that Ohio State has. And again, out of Iowa, I know their defense is really good. They have a really good run game, but Spencer Petras, I feel like it all comes down to quarterback play. He's been okay, but he hasn't played like, he hasn't been like an elite level quarterback. And I feel like that's one of the things that it takes to be successful in college football, especially in the college football playoff, is just elite quarterback play. And then Penn State, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Iowa's better than Penn State, at least right now. So I don't think they're the best team in the Big Ten quite yet.
Thank you.
As you guys have potentially learned in your time knowing me, there are two things in college football that I love, and it is strength of schedule and defense. In terms of, I mean, and with college football, this is the big debate. Like, this is why some people really just don't like college football. It's because you have 3 games at the beginning of the season typically that mean nothing. They're warm-up games. It's your most of the time, and we talked about Florida State last week, most of the time you beat them because it's a guarantee game. And it's just kind of a tune-up for conference play. So I mean, and then if you lose at the beginning of the season, it basically derails your chances of success the rest of the, not necessarily success, but chances of making a playoff or anything. If you have that one loss, and God forbid you get a second loss, which is one of the downfalls of college football. But what I'm getting at is, I mean, yeah, now Penn State has beaten 2 really tough teams. Ohio State has only really played 1 tough team, and they lost to them. I'm not saying that Penn State is better than Ohio State just based on that, but it's just, as we kind of talked about with the NFL, it's really early in this season to start making decisions like this on who's the best team in the Big Ten. I mean, Iowa, they played Iowa State. It's really about it at this point in time. Once Big Ten play starts to begin, I think we can start getting a better feel on who's the best. Right now, just on how everybody has played against these teams, again, Penn State has played 2 teams that were in the top 25. They beat them. Heck, Auburn going into this weekend was the 3rd highest, or had the 3rd most yards out of any offense. It was, or actually, no, excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong stat. Anyway, or actually, they had the third best defense. I'm talking about defenses here. They allowed 182 yards per game. Not that high. They didn't allow a lot of points, yet here we go. Penn State's coming in scoring 28. They're only holding them to 20 points, which Auburn actually, if I'm on the right tab now, had top 10 most points scored per game going into last week. And Penn State held them. I love defense. Penn State's defense is rocking right now. The only defense I think I like better than Penn State's is Georgia's. And Georgia's defense is always in my top 2, basically. It's usually when Wisconsin's defense is on fire, which guess what? They are 11.5 points per game, 2nd least yards allowed per game, 194.5. Even though they lost to Penn State, they still held them to not that many yards. But it's just so... Basically, to get to the answer to your question, because I've kind of just been incoherently rambling. Do I think Ohio State is still the best team in the Big Ten? At this current point in time, they haven't had a beginning of the season that would qualify them for that. Penn State, just based on what they've done, is the best team in the Big Ten right now, personally, just because they're the only team that has beaten 2 top 25 teams. I love Iowa, how they're looking right now. I don't personally love Iowa. Obviously, we have established many times that, Wisconsin born and raised. But I love how Iowa looks right now. We said last week, I think Iowa is going to be the team that comes out of the Big Ten West. I think we have to wait until that game between Penn State and Ohio State to determine which one of them is the best team in the Big Ten, which is the easy way to get out of this question. But I mean, you can't just decide when Ohio State is kind of playing not the best teams, and then the one good team they play, they lose to, where Penn State is undefeated.
Thank you for your point, David. So what I'll
Thank
say
you for
with
making me
this
feel appreciated.
is when I've watched Ohio State, I've only watched 2 out of the 3 games. Didn't watch their last week when they played, I think, Tulsa. CJ Stroud, their freshman quarterback, who he's got a bunch of hype around him. Obviously, he's a freshman. I haven't seen him put together a full 60 minutes. He hasn't been consistent the whole game. Against Minnesota, played terrible the first half, second half tore it up. Against Oregon, first half didn't come out hot. Second half started playing well. Obviously, those are 2 tougher defenses. Oregon a lot quicker than Minnesota, different style. Not a Big Ten style. I think with the way that Penn State's defense is playing right now, how quick they are, how good their secondary and linebackers are, I think they could give Ohio State a run for their money. Who would you rather take, a senior in Sean Clifford or a freshman CJ Stroud in a big game? You're taking the senior most of the time, are you not?
Yeah.
This is where you put your input. Like you can say, yeah.
Sure.
I said,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
sorry. I realized I
Thank you.
nodded, and then I realized that while we are doing this on YouTube, we're also doing it for the viewers at home, and you have to both nod and say yes. I have to just assume like this is on radio, even though everyone can see our beautiful faces if they're watching on YouTube.
So
Subscribe.
going back on it, the way that Penn State's secondary and linebackers are playing, I think they could give CJ Stroud a lot of pressure early in the game. Get him off of his feet. Make him rush some throws. He has 2 great receivers, but he's got to be able to hit them. He's struggled in the first half of games so far hitting Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. So another thing that I want to go back on with Ohio State, they don't have that stud running back like they usually do. Travion Henderson, yeah, he might have had 277 rushing yards against Tulane, but in the other 2 games, he didn't run well. Against Minnesota, he wasn't even their lead back. They used somebody else. I don't think if there's a year that somebody else in the Big Ten can take their opportunity and go to the college football playoff, I think it's this year. I think Penn State and Iowa, I think they're just as good. Not saying they're better, but just as good as Ohio State and have a chance to win that big game. I personally do. And I don't think Ohio State has that big pass rusher like they had Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, and Chase Young. They don't have that guy on defense.
And right now, all the pressure is really on Ohio State because they're the team that has that one loss. And I know we kind of covered that last week in terms of will we see a Big Ten team in the college football playoff, but all the pressure is on Ohio State right now. Penn State, for all intents and purposes, is cruising their way to the Big Ten championship. Because, well, I guess the one loss against Oregon doesn't really hinder that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's also just Ohio State has that pressure where it's just like on their backs the entire time. It's if we lose again, we're not making the playoff this year. Like at this point, even if they lose to a top 10 or a top 5 Penn State, no, 2 losses doesn't make the playoff. And we've seen that time in and time out. I think I just froze.
I think Dane just froze.
Oh, Dane just froze. Okay. Whew. That scared me. I'm just like everything. Well, we're having the
technical
He's alive.
difficulties.
He's alive.
Anyway, all right.
Gotta
We're
love
coming
Zoom.
up on this is awesome, dude.
You know, it happens.
No problem.
Bear with us, guys.
Wi-Fi is great. Wi-Fi is great. Yeah. Anyway, I'll do this lovely transition to our final segment of this lovely Tuesday edition of the DDT Show. Like Dane said, this week it was just kind of a struggle to come up with what segments were we going to do on this show. It was a busy weekend. We had our first Leatherneck home football game. I didn't get to watch a lot of college football this weekend. And then with with us having our game on Saturday, Sunday, still college students had to do a bunch of homework, didn't get to catch a lot of the NFL games. So I was struggling to figure out, what am I going to talk about this week? And what I wanted to do something interesting where it was kind of us coming up with a top 5 or a top 3 or a top 10. And then it hit me like a notification on my phone, which is exactly what happened. The Arizona Coyotes of the National Hockey League. That's right. We're talking about hockey today, ladies and gentlemen, because it's right around the corner. I saw a commercial during Monday Night Football last night, and I got insanely excited because hockey is right around the corner. But the Coyotes announced that, backed by popular demand, are their Kachina jerseys, which some consider to be the greatest sports jerseys of all time, because they are really cool. And we got hints of them last year when the reverse retros came out, because the Coyotes reverse retros were basically, it was the head of the Coyote that are on their Kachina jerseys, but it was just the head, but it was still a really cool design. I think the Coyotes definitely had a top 5 in their reverse retros. But that brought us to our final segment, which is we are going to list off our top 3 favorite jerseys in sports of all time. Excuse me. Guys, I have some honorable mentions. I don't know if you guys came up with honorable mentions, because it was really hard. Like I had to go through some top lists online just to refresh my memory of all the cool jerseys that have been out there. So I'm going to quick list off my honorable mentions. The Hartford Whalers. I love those ones just because the logo is fantastic. The color scheme is great. It's great. The Vancouver Grizzlies, that light blue, like teal one, those Don't judge me. I like the Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys, Daniel. For those of you who didn't know, Dane is short for Daniel. Don't fact check that.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's definitely not.
I'm the only one who calls you that because I think it's funny, and I only
you have
say it
never called me that.
I have called you Daniel before.
I have
not
never
on the
heard
air,
that.
Not on the air or anything. But if I'm trying to be serious, I call you Dan. The Montreal Expos Powder Blues,
Yes.
and then the current Edmonton Oilers all orange jerseys. Those are my honorable mentions. I love all of those, but they couldn't crack my top 3. We're going to start with our number 3s. Trevor, what is your number 3 favorite jersey of all time?
Ooh, I didn't know they were in order, so I'll just kind of pick one. But I really like the Chargers powder blue ones, with the the powder blue lightning bolt across the. I think
like the current
colors,
one, or like the retros.
The
retros, like the original powder blue with the bolts down the shoulders and all that. Those are cool.
Yeah, the colors just work together really well. Big powder blue guy. Don't know why, but yeah.
You know what powder blue? I'm not, like I said, the powder blue Montreal Expos ones. You know what powder blue I never understood and I absolutely hate? The Cardinals all powder blue jerseys. I never understood why they had powder blue in their uniforms. You like those? Is that what you were saying?
I do like those, yes.
I never understood why they had powder blue in their color scheme I'm not a fan of the Cardinals having that. Like, powder blue works for some teams, but I don't understand why the Cardinals have it. But all right, so Trevor's starting us off with the Chargers of the football fame, the NFL fame, with their powder blue with the lightning bolts on the shoulders and down the sides and everything. Dane, your number 3, please.
My number 3 is the 1997-98 Phoenix Suns jersey, the old retro jerseys. Just love seeing Charles Barkley in the little shooting basket. It's a great jersey. Look it up.
That's what I'm doing right now. I have to look it up.
They're nice jerseys. They're the old retro ones. They're much better than what they have now. I love them. They're my favorite jerseys.
Oh, you're talking about the one with like the basketball coming across the chest and the basketball is the
big fan of those jerseys. See,
I do like
that. As you'll pick up in my top 3 jerseys, they're all NBA basketball jerseys because I think NBA basketball has some of the coolest jerseys. I will say my honorable mention too was Ole Miss powder blue too. I love those jerseys, the baseball ones.
So not only do I have an honorable mention list, but I kind of cheat with my number 3 spot because I have 2 of them because I just couldn't decide.
That's not fair.
I'm
You've been
sorry.
disqualified.
So my first of the number 3s is the new, and this is a little biased. This one is a little biased, and I will accept that. The Vegas Golden Knights all gold jerseys that they just released last year. They're gold alternates. I love those things. I think they're cool. When they were first released, I absolutely loved them. And the more I looked at them, the more I loved them. So I love that. This next one, although it may seem biased, it is not. My tied for third is the Bucks green and purple from the early 2000s. And it's not the one that you're thinking of. It's not the one with the buck up the side. While I do like that one, from my childhood watching the Bucks, I don't necessarily ever remember seeing them actually play with that. The ones I love are just the basic all purple green trim with the gray Bucks across the chest, gray numbers on the front and back.
Yeah.
I
know which
do
one you're
like
talking about.
I do like the green and purple with the buck up the side. Like that's kind of like tied in there as well. But just the base with the gray Bucks across the chest. I loved the green and purple scheme. I don't think anyone in Milwaukee enjoyed when they went to red and green and became a Christmas tree out on the court. They should have never left green and purple. They should have gone green and purple until they decided to go to green and cream. But yeah, so those are my 2 number 3s. Why are you giving me that look?
There's just a weird phrase.
Green and cream.
It made me uncomfortable. I just didn't like it.
That's the color. It's cream.
No, I know. I totally know. It's just, I don't know. Yeah.
So we're going to start with you, Dane. Number 2, following up the Phoenix Suns. What is your number 2 jersey of all time?
My number 2. This is just a great year. Don't know why. All 3 of my jerseys are actually from the same year. 1997-98 Toronto Raptors jersey with the Raptor dribbling the basketball. The purple
I do like
and red.
those. I always like
Those jerseys. Those jerseys are beautiful. Like seeing vintage Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady in those jerseys. Just go back to. I want to see that again. Like I love those jerseys.
My brother and I had, I think it was called NBA Live 06, EA Sports NBA Live 06 for the PlayStation 2. And I would play it when he wasn't home because I would want to play it because he wouldn't let me. And I called the Raptors like my second favorite team solely because of those jerseys. I love those ones. Trevor, number 2.
Well, I think my number 2, again, I feel like mine are just in no particular order. I just came up with 3 jerseys and I was like, those are sick. But I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks. I think it was like the 90s, early 2000s. Here, I'll just show you.
Yeah, just show us. I know you have the jersey.
These with the for the podcast listeners, we got it's like the teal, blue, and purple. It's got the purple sleeves, purple pinstripes. I think it was their away jersey, I believe.
It's their A logo that looks like a rattlesnake with its mouth open, and it's got the purple sleeves. Back when they were purple and green or whatever.
Purple and green, yeah.
Before they changed, before they changed to red and green. What is with teams changing purple to red? It doesn't work. No one likes it as much.
I like their new jerseys too. Their new jerseys are very nice with the teal.
They are.
Trevor, I'm gonna be honest with you. That one, I didn't have it in my honorable mentions because I just couldn't put myself to putting it in my honorable mentions. If I had to guess, that one would definitely be in my top probably 10 or 15 because I do love those. And I was looking at them last night and I'm just like, I don't think it's a top 3 for me, but that's a solid choice for your number 2, the old Diamondbacks retros. Mine, sticking with the theme of Dane's number 3 was from Phoenix. Trevor, your number 3 is also from Arizona. Mine, it's the good old Arizona Coyotes Kachina jerseys. I love them. I didn't really become a full-fledged hockey fan until probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Before I was a full-fledged hockey fan, I still knew what this jersey was, and I loved it. And it is I love hockey jerseys. Like Dane, you said you love NBA jerseys. I love hockey jerseys. I think hockey logos are the best logos in sports. I think hockey jerseys are hand in hand there with the NBA with the best uniforms in professional sports. It's just they're just so nice and so clean and so creative. Like I feel like they're just super creative instead of just like, L and A against a blue background or N and Y against a navy blue background. Like I feel like there's more creativity in hockey in the NBA. So that's why that's my number 2. Trevor, drum roll, please. Your number 1 is.
I feel like I gotta go with the Blues 90s retro jerseys that were blue and red, and they had like the weird like diagonal red across. See, that's the reaction I always get. It's like some people hate them.
Yeah.
I think they look so cool on the ice. Like they look so good. Yeah, I think they're sick.
I feel like all Blues fans love those ones, and it's a very mixed reaction between non-Blues fans. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, I'll audibly explain that when he said the Blues retros, my head went slightly back and to the left as if like, come on, man. I mean, it's your favorite. I can't judge you. It's like, no, Trevor, you're wrong. Those personally, I'm not the biggest fan. Dane, I don't know. Do you know which ones you're talking about or?
No idea. I'll look after the show.
I don't know. I don't hate them, but I personally I wouldn't wear one if I'm being honest. But so Trevor's top 3. Go through it again, Trevor. I already forgot your number 3.
Oh God, it was
the Chargers.
The
Chargers powder blue.
The Chargers powder blue. The A's like purple and teal, or Diamondbacks. Yeah, the Diamondbacks purple and teal away jerseys, and then the Blues 90s retro.
That's a solid top 3.
Yeah.
I like it. Dane, your number 1, please.
All right, I'm gonna put it on. I have it.
Oh God, I know exactly what he's doing.
Is it what
no, I don't know what you're thinking.
There's one that I'm thinking, and if it is, it's cheating. But that's why I think I'm wrong.
I think you're wrong.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know he had that.
When you said that, I was so mad.
That's why you were looking at me.
Mike Bibby, Vancouver Grizzlies jersey, baby. It's my favorite jersey.
Of all
Saw it
time.
at a Hibbett last year. Oh, that's my favorite jersey of all time for sure. Bought it at a Hibbett last year. Spent $140 on it. Right on the spot. Knew I had to get it. Mike Bibby. In case you don't know him, for my fans, Mike Bibby was my favorite player growing up. Don't know why. No idea. Him on the Hawks with ISO Joe, Jamal Crawford, Josh Smith, Al Horford. Just loved it. That was my favorite team growing up, the Hawks. Then I became a Bucks fan. Don't know how. Mike Bibby, baby. Vancouver Grizzlies. Favorite jersey of all time.
So Vancouver, like, we did top 3. If we had done top 5, Vancouver Grizzlies, this is my top 5. That's the only reason they were my honorable mention.
When you said it, I was like, oh, darn it. But then I'm like, I have the jersey, so I'm more valid than he is.
It's cool. Why does it have to mean anything? We're doing our top 3s. It doesn't mean. It's not like I took your thunder. It's not like people are just like, David said it as honorable mention.
Yeah,
it's going to ruin it when Dane. It's going to ruin it when Dane says it's his number 1 because David has.
See, I actually have it though.
Yeah, no, I want one. Like I want a Ja Morant. Vancouver Grizzlies.
What jersey did you think I was going to put on? My Florida one?
I thought you were going to put on your Jackie Moon Flint Tropics
jersey. I could have. I didn't know if you were thinking my Florida jersey.
No, I knew it wasn't that. I thought you were going to put on your Jackie Moon Flint Tropics. I didn't know you had a Grizzly. I forgot you had a Grizzlies jersey.
I mean, Jackie Moon, that might be top 5, honestly.
But see, Flint Tropics, that's why I'm saying that's kind of cheating because it's not a real team.
Yeah, I get that. That's why I didn't put them. But I would have loved
So we got Dane, Phoenix Suns,
Toronto Raptors.
Toronto Raptors, that's right. And then Vancouver Grizzlies. That's a solid. See, that's the thing. Like NBA, I feel like that would be somewhat of a harder list because there's so many alternates, and like I've looked at like top 50 NBA jerseys of all time. Like I've looked at those lists, and there are so many alternates for these teams that it's just like if you did like your top 5 favorite NBA jerseys, that'd be a hard list because they do have a lot of cool jerseys.
I also was looking at, because there was probably like, it was close to my top 3. The old, it would have been like the 80 to 90 Houston Rockets. Like it was actually a rocket. It was like black and red with the rocket going across the front.
Like
I thought about those too.
What Clyde Drexler?
Yeah. Didn't Dikembe Mutombo? Didn't he play?
Drexler. Hakeem Olajuwon. My bad. Not.
That's who I'm thinking of. Not Mutombo.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Olajuwon. That's one. That's what I'm thinking of. Anyway, my number 1 goes to baseball, and so we've had a baseball here. It goes to baseball. These are my favorite and this is just how much that I love them. One year when I was in Little League, my dad was the head coach, and we got to pick which team that we were going to be because my Little League did it where we were like all professional teams or whatever, like, Brewers, Mariners, stuff like that. And so this year, my dad, it's like, we get first pick on what team do we want? I'm just like, what teams are available? He gave me 3. And the one I chose were these. And for this sole reason, the Florida Marlins all teals. Those are my favorite. I have always loved that color. I have always loved how they looked. And honestly, I could go with the Florida Marlins blacks with the Marlins written across the chest as well, because I do like how those look as well. But back when the Florida Marlins were actually, they had the Marlin and were like teal, those were my favorite. I love those. It took a little bit, and it actually took me a little bit to actually put those in my number 1. I'm really bad at ranking, but I had to put those at number 1 because those are definitely in my top 3. So I had the Golden Knights all gold alternates tied with the Bucks green and purple, the Arizona Coyotes Kachina jerseys, and then Florida Marlins all teal. I mean, I feel like I've gave my input whether you guys wanted it or not on all your jerseys. What do you think of the Florida Marlins teal?
I like it. Very nice color.
I like those. Yeah, I kind of forgot about them. I do like those jerseys a lot.
It's a very, very
like
nice color.
It's kind of like the similar color to that Grizzlies teal, light blue-ish. And that's why it's just that's such a good color on jerseys and wherever you're playing. Like it just kind of stands out. I don't think it would work in hockey if we're like in that kind of sense, but in terms of basketball, baseball, even football, because the Dolphins really kind of pull it off, and with their really light blues, I'm not sure if those are necessarily teal, but it's just a nice color. This was fun. I love talking about jerseys.
That was a great segment. I really like that. That was fun.
I love talking about jerseys. We might have to do like a Monday list segment now, where we rotate jerseys. Who comes up with the topic of the list.
Let's just, okay.
Or we just continue to have just a like jersey talk segment or something.
Well, we can just do something different, like favorite player, or like I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like you just like, what are your top 3 NBA centers of all time? Like,
oh yeah, give me that. Who's your favorite 6th man of the year? Like, yeah, give me that.
Exactly. Like, talk about like that. I feel like that could be fun. But our time is winding down on this Tuesday. We are students. We have to get to class, but we hope that you enjoyed today's edition on the 21st morning of September, to paraphrase Earth, Wind, and Fire. But we hope you enjoyed this edition of the DDT Show. We apologize that we did not get one out last Friday. Things came up. This Friday, more things will come up. Dane is heading back home for some things that are going on in his life. I am leaving tomorrow to head to Charlotte, North Carolina, because my older sister is getting married, which is going to be absolutely exciting. Can't wait for that. So unfortunately, we will go another Friday without the DDT Show. We promise we will be returning for Fridays doing this when we get the chance. Yes, Dane.
Just want to give a big shout out to Tommy Cook. That intro that you heard was made by Tommy Cook. Thank you, Tommy. He has a beautiful voice. Did a spectacular job. We're very happy that he can do that for us.
Friend of the show, love Tommy Cook. Huge shout out to Tommy Cook. He's done some other voiceover work actually recently. I was sent a pregame promo sent to a group chat I'm in by Connor Fredland, a WIU broadcasting grad. He broadcasted for the Florence Yalls of the Frontier League this year. He asked Tommy to do a promo for him, and it was fantastic. So Tommy Cook, give him a follow on everything. Great guy, friend of the show. Great job doing the intro for this show. But we will try and get back to you. We'll try and get back on that Friday schedule next week. Again, with us being college students and us being very busy college students, our schedules aren't as flexible as they used to be. And so we try and just get this in whenever we can. And so that's why we've even moved it to Tuesdays and even Tuesday mornings with our recordings. And we're going to try and get it out to you guys on Fridays as well. Might be late, might be we record it Thursday nights and get it out to you Friday morning. Who knows? Sit tight. We'll try and keep you updated as best we can. There will be no show this Friday. We'll hopefully be back with more DDT action Tuesday. But for now, you didn't do the full intro. Nobody knows who we are right now. That's Dane McElwee, Trevor Davis. It's me. It's that DAVID, David Coyer. This has been another edition of the DDT Show. We love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.